달라져.
I mean, no, I'll take some more. Yeah.
네, 여기 있어.
We might can see it when we come back in the Let's see what these ones
这中间也要有，对不对？这个烟。頭にかけて。앞에.
Do you have a coin purse?
Guys, don't leave without me.
洋葱什么的，对吧？
マヌルパンだ。
マヌル好き。
ダメだ。